Welcome to episode number 5 of Let's Talk Sports with Avi. I'm your host, Avi Schoenberg, and today I'm joined by special guest Riley Cahill, senior writer here for the Lantern. Riley, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course. So it's March, Riley, and that means March Madness is upon us. But right before that, we do have the men's Big Ten tournament. Ohio State starts their Big Ten tournament tomorrow, playing either Iowa or one of those teams that played today. So for Ohio State, their outlook for not just the tournament, but for going into the Big Ten tournament, assuming they win this game tomorrow, they play Michigan. So what do you think Ohio State's thinking? Are they thinking about getting through potentially Iowa first and then we'll deal with Michigan, or how do you think they're feeling right now?
Yeah, so Coach Diebler's approach throughout the whole season has just been one game at a time, right? So first, on Thursday, they'd either play Iowa or the winner of Maryland and Oregon. Previously, a couple weeks ago, Ohio State lost to Iowa, so if they were able to get a rematch like that, I'm sure they'd be more than motivated to play the Hawkeyes. But their message has been simple, just one game at a time, so I don't think they're focused on playing number 1 seed Michigan on Friday as of right now.
Yeah. We've seen how the Buckeyes have fared in some of these neutral games. I mean, for North Carolina and for Virginia, those being ranked teams and teams that are going to make the March Madness tournament, how do you think the Buckeyes will approach this game in a neutral site?
Yeah, so they've played a few neutral sites, as you said. Virginia and North Carolina, both of those were 1-2 possession losses. So they've shown an ability to compete against these high-level teams that are going to be in the tournament. They just haven't really finished as well. But again, this is an opportunity for them to play against quality opponents such as Iowa, who will likely be in the tournament field. And then if they were to win, they'll play against probably a number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament in Michigan. So this will not only give them experience against playing top teams that are going to be in the conference, but also teams that are going to be in the tournament field as well.
Yeah. How big do you think these games are for their seeding in terms of the March Madness tournament? I mean, right now they're projected to be a 9 seed in the March Madness tournament. You think if the Buckeyes are one and done that they just drop to a 10, for example, or let's say they make a run, they can obviously bump all the way up. So where do you think the Buckeyes will land eventually?
Yeah, so Ohio State just a couple weeks ago was on the bubble, right? And now they're basically pretty much in around the 9-10 seed, as you were saying. If they were to win their first game, I'd say they could move up a spot. If they lose, I think they could drop a spot. But other than that, I don't think they'd really shift too much. I don't think they'd jump up to a 7 per se, unless they were to beat Michigan and go on a run. But right now they're sitting in around that 9 or 10. I'd say even if they were to lose to Iowa or beat Iowa, I don't really think they would change all that much, maybe 1 spot or 1 ranking. But right now I'd say anywhere between the 9 and 10 seed looks pretty likely for Ohio State.
Yeah. Now looking past Ohio State and some of these other teams that are in the Big Ten tournament, I know right before this you were showing me your predictions. So if you want to quickly walk me through who you think is going to win it all and who do you have playing each other throughout the tournament?
Yeah, so I know we go to Ohio State, but I mean, number 1 seed Michigan has really, they're 19-1 throughout the conference. That just doesn't really happen too often, right? So I would say that right now they'd be the overwhelming favorite. I do like number 5 seed Wisconsin. They can really light it up offensively. They're one of the top scoring teams, and they also are tops in 3-pointers. So that's how they beat Michigan, actually. Michigan's lone loss. I believe Wisconsin made 15 threes that game to upset Michigan. I really like Wisconsin's chances. They're a 5 seed, although if they were to make it to the quarterfinals, they'd play number 4 seed Illinois, who's another great offensive team. And then if they were to win that, they'd square off with Michigan again. I know Purdue has been struggling a lot recently. I believe they've lost 3 of their last 4, if I'm not mistaken. They're the 7th seed, but I like their path to getting at least to the semifinal. If they were to win their opening round against likely Indiana, they'd play number 2 Nebraska, who's kind of also been struggling, and Purdue beat them a couple weeks ago. So I think outside of the favorite, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Purdue are 2 teams that I think could make a decent run in the tournament.
Yeah. Some were saying that if Ohio State ended up getting that 7th seed as opposed to Purdue, let's say UCLA lost another game and Ohio State jumps into that number 7 seed, they would then play the number 10 and then eventually the number 2, who currently is Nebraska. We saw how Ohio State barely lost some of these games, such as to Nebraska or even to Michigan when they were on the road. So do you think Ohio State can fare against some of those opponents? I mean, thinking beyond Michigan and on the other side of the bracket, Michigan State, Illinois, all these are solid teams in which Ohio State has only played once this season, but they've given a lot of them a run for their money. So do you think, hypothetically, if Ohio State played some of these teams in a neutral site, would it be a different story?
On a neutral site, I mean, sure. I mean, for example, they lost to Michigan State on the road by 6. But really, all these other top teams that they played, they were at home. Illinois, Nebraska, Purdue, Wisconsin, they played both ways. But neutral site, I mean, sure, it adds a different aspect. But like you were saying, they've been in all these close type of games. They've competed with Nebraska, Michigan State, Illinois. All of those games were one possessions down the stretch. So really, they've shown an ability to compete and play with these teams. It really just comes down to how they're going to close out the game.
Yeah. Ohio State currently sits at number 30 in the NCAA net rankings. They were floating around the mid-20s actually not too long ago. So for the Buckeyes, they currently sit at 20-11. Do you think their record right now is reflecting their play style, or do you think they're playing at a very high level right now? Some would say even among the best teams in the country at this part of the season.
Well, they're certainly playing their best basketball this season, entering the tournament on a 3-game winning streak. Their offense has really been clicking. They've scored over 80 points the last 3 games. When they had a bit of a slump in the mid-February to late February when a bunch of their guys were injured, Royal, John Mobley, and Brandon Noel, who's been out, and Amari Bynum as well, was dealing with some stuff that limited him in practice. Their offense was really not clicking too well. They've only scored over 75 points when they lost 3 of 4 just once, and it was their win at home against Wisconsin. So the key for them is really just to keep up their offensive efficiency. They've been extremely efficient, and they've also out-rebounded their previous 3 opponents, Purdue, Penn State, and Indiana, and that's given them not only second chance opportunities on the glass, but it's limited opponents from going the other way and getting easy buckets.
Yeah. So my last question for you is, as Ohio State approaches this tournament, what do you think is one thing that they might need to clean up, or one thing that they could improve on? Is it maybe some of that bench scoring that's been missing, or maybe is it keeping the big 3 intact and playing off of them and making sure that they're rolling? What do you think Ohio State needs to improve on in order to make a run in this tournament?
Yeah, it's tough. Bench scoring is definitely a big component that Ohio State's kind of struggled with or fluctuated a little bit. But I would say the key for them is really their health. As of late, they've been getting healthier. Tilly was out, he's now back. Devin Royal was out, he's now back. And of course, John Mobley was out, and now he's back. And they're also expected to get Brandon Noel back coming up for this tournament. So he hasn't played since the start of January, so he will definitely add to their bench scoring. I know Tayson Chapman's really been lighting it up recently, so I wouldn't really say their bench scoring is their biggest area of concern. They need contributions from Chapman, no doubt, but really I think it just comes down to how healthy they are.
Yeah, when we look at some of those guys on the bench, I mean, Gabe Cupps, Tayson Chapman, some of these guys really can make an impact for the Buckeyes as they head to the United Center and will take on, we will see, either Maryland, Oregon, or Iowa tomorrow. Thank you very much for joining me, Riley, and thank you very much for watching episode number 5 of Let's Talk Sports with Avi. We will see you next time.